We're so close to the mid-set expansion! Have you gotten to that division you wanted before the soft ranked reset? Well, you still have time, and we got your back here. Or rather, a certain tentacle monster, explosives expert, and pirate king got it. Hey everyone, and welcome to another ProGuides TFT video. Today, we're going to be talking about patch 10.11's prevalent comps and why they've been so successful. Make sure to play these comps when you can, and you'll be able to get to your desired ranked floor before the soft reset. Make sure you get gold at least to get the ranked rewards. As with every top comps list, getting the top comp will not guarantee you first place, but it will give you a high enough chance for a top 4 finish, netting you that sweet, sweet LP. Positioning, items, and scouting are still your most important tools in this game, working together with your comp in order to give you that shiny first place. In this video, we'll talk about each comp, a general playstyle guide, look at items they use and their positioning. This patch is fairly balanced, so we'll also have an honorable mention section at the end of the video, so stay tuned for that. Before we dive in though, make sure to check out the link in the description and get to see all the content we're uploading for you guys, created by the top challenger players around the world to help you get better and hit that first place in your games. We recently launched TFT coaching as well on ProGuides.com with really active and awesome coaches just one click away from helping you climb that ladder. We'll see you guys over there. But with all that said, let's dive right into our top comp for 10.11, and it is Void Brawlers. Our favorite tentacle monster has a brother in arms now. Kha'Zix is making a last hurrah before his removal in the mid-set expansion. Itemizing Kha'Zix and Vel'Koz has made this comp a real terror in the ladder. The secret was in 3-starring Kha'Zix all along. The rest of the comp plays the same as in the mana printer days, with 4 brawlers, which you can splice in later levels to add mystic or other stuff you think might be useful. The main difference lies in the mid game, where you don't level aggressively and slow roll for Kha'Zix, and if you can, malfight. Starting with playstyle, Void Brawlers with Kha'Zix plays a little bit differently. You're actually strong in the early game, relying a lot on positioning though. You have to start with a BF sword or a sparring glove to itemize Kha'Zix. Try to get Kha'Zix to 2-star and gather all the brawlers you can get. You do not stay at 4 if you can win streak, but level to 5 to preserve that win streak if you get it. Try to find a Kai'Sa and give her potential Vel'Koz items. You can replace her for Fizz down the line for more CC and give the items to Vel'Koz. You will slow roll for Kha'Zix after you get your first 50 gold. After you 3-star him, you can level fast to find Vel and Cho'Gath. You can always hyper roll if you're really close to him after Crumbz, but you usually want to level to preserve HP or even win streak, since infiltrators are quite strong early. Be careful of the full backline positioning, which is really in vogue now. The trick to beat it is to position Kha'Zix in the opposite side, giving the opponent's units time to move up and get isolated by the time Ka reaches them. You can also 3-star malfight, but don't tunnel vision too much on him. After Kha'Zix 3-star, you should primarily focus on leveling. Positioning is key with this comp, as with any infiltrator. Kha'Zix has the extra caveat of isolation damage, but with the AD itemization, it's not that important. Make sure he lands on areas where he will have some time to move and attack freely without landing in the middle of the 2 vanguards your opponent backline to counter you. Vel'Koz has to be positioned relatively high up. If you position him in the back, he'll most likely not hit the back line, and you might lose because his ult will target frontline and veer away from opponent carries. Once you get Fizz, you can have them dive together, since Fizz's ult separates units, making them ripe for Kha'Zix's ult. Don't worry, you don't really play 2 Vel'Koz. These are the 2 possible positions for him, with a preference for the second row. Be careful of Zephyr Blitzcranks. Be careful of Shroud of Stillness on Vel'Koz and Zephyr on Kha'Zix. You will rarely build QSS on him, and him not jumping can mean defeat for you. Looking at items needed for this comp, Kha'Zix is simple. You want Infinity Edge or Deathblade, Guardian Angel, and Rapid Fire Cannon. The range auto attacks allow him to stay safe and ult isolated targets from afar, staying safe after Fizz ults the back line. Vel'Koz items are the usual, preferring Morello, Seraphs, and QSS as his 3 best in-slot items. I would prioritize QSS on him and throw any AP or mana items on him though. That's about it for Void Brawlers. Remember, the comp is quite popular right now, but it's very scoutable early. If you see people buying Kha'Zix en masse, you might want to avoid it and play something else. The next comp we're going to showcase is Rebel ZIGGS, a comp that has graced this list before. ZIGGS is arguably even stronger than the last patch, since Shredder is gone now. Tiers are quite unpopular right now, so getting a lot of them to make your ZIGGS dreams come true is doable, and basically an LP printing machine. ZIGGS comps are no different from last patch. You'll gather as many explosive experts as you can early on, giving him the tiers to make 2 Seraphs while surrounding him with rebels and other tanky units. When you find a rumble, itemize him with what your Gangplank items will look like and put him in for the Demolitionist synergy. Add units like Graves and Blitz to get interesting synergies like Brawler or strong standalone units like Graves Blind. Blitz is really useful to give your future Jinx resets as well if you get Jinx items instead of Gangplank ones. The new data surrounding Hyperroll seems to point towards slow rolling as a much more effective and safe strategy. If you don't have too many ZIGGS, slow rolling and leveling to 5 is probably the right call for you. Hyper rolling is really risky, and in a comp like Rebels that actually wants to get to 8 or 9 and find a Gangplank 2-star, hyper rolling sets you back too much. Positioning is fairly straightforward. Clump up your rebels and put the Rumble or GP near or at the front for fast ults. Make sure you switch every now and then so that your key units do not get shrouded. Thankfully, since ZIGGS has so low mana, Shroud is not the best counter. Speaking of ZIGGS counters, Zephyr is amazing if they can hit him. As such, I really like QSS as a third item on him instead of a third mana/AP item. However, if you can't get it, it's fine to give him Rabadons, Ludens, Jeweled Gauntlet, and the like. Gangplank wants Guardian Angel, Ionic Spark, and any other item you can get at that point. Remember to itemize your frontline a bit, though it's less important than in other comps since the 6 Rebel buff is quite good at keeping them alive for ZIGGS to do his stuff. That's it for ZIGGS. It's a reliable Rebel build that's good all game round and is an excellent way to climb for the next 2 weeks. Our final comp for this showcase is Gangplank and Friends. Similar to Kale and Friends, this is not a specific comp. Gangplank carry with a Demolitionist or a Demolitionist Spatula on someone has been splashed into many comps. Sorcerer GP is one, but it has seen great success in Kale with Demo MF, in Space Pirates, and is an amazing scaling option for Brawler Blasters, taking the place of 2 of the Blasters. Honestly, this third spot could go to Kale again, and we wanted to show you GP's versatility. The playstyle for GP comps is varied, depending on which comp you're splashing him into. There are a couple important things you have to be careful of though. First, always have a strong item carrier that does well with GP items. Jace, Darius, and Ahri are some of the better ones. We'll talk about which items are core on GP in a bit. Second, you'll need to get to 8 and preferably to level 9. Make sure you play your early game well, transitioning into a mid game that will allow you to go to 8 and 9 with gold to spare. Also, do not tunnel vision on Gangplank. If he does not fit into your comp or you don't have items for him, don't go for it. Be aware of the advantages he can give you, and if the AoE stun and damage is something you can greatly benefit from, go for it. Jinx, for example, synergizes very well with him, gaining valuable time to get those 2 kills and going ballistic on the opponent. No fancy graphs for positioning GP, there are only a couple of simple rules. Always put him in the front line, that way you ensure that he will hit the most units with his ult, especially with the larger area upgrade. Be careful of Shroud, Zephyr, and Mana Reaver. It is healthy to move him around the front line a bit, confusing your opponents who try to disrupt and slow him. The items are focused on AP, but only after you get Guardian Angel. It is GP's most core item. Ionic Spark and Rabadons are really good as well, and Morello can be strong if you lack healing reduction. If you use him for the CC more than the damage, tanky items like Frozen Heart are good too. Gangplank comps have been popping off in the ladder, including the famous Korean Jin comp, where you use Gangplank to stun and disrupt enemies while Jin takes care of them with his loving, artistic bullets. Now for a little update on the rest of the comps and the honorable mentions that did not make the top 3 list. Unlimited Bladeworks or Shredder is our first honorable mention. Do not play it unless you ultra high roll 7 Zayas and perfect items by Crumbz. Brawler Blasters is the second honorable mention, losing a bit of its luster. Don't play the comp with 4 Blasters. It's better if you splash any synergy that can be useful instead, keeping Jinx and MF as your only Blasters. Mech Infiltrator is still an A tier comp. With Demo Spat, if played correctly, it's S tier this patch, with the Hyper Roll nerfs and Last Whisper's reduction to 75% armor break. Cybernetics are quite bad right now, but they are still decent in the early game. 6 Cybers are a top 4 comp at the moment though, unless you super high roll. Candyland is still fire, even a bit better now that Last Whisper got nerfed. The game plan is still the same as before, 3-star Poppy and TF, and try to dominate early and snowball to late with Sorcerers. That's it for this video. We'll be uploading every week on Wednesday and Sunday. Thanks so much for watching, and make sure to check out our TFT content on YouTube and our high ELO coaches on ProGuides.com. If you have any feedback for us, comment below, and we'll be happy to read what you have to say. Now get out there and farm some LP using the comps you saw here today.